let's just get this all out. We have been talking about your Create Your Art podcast for years.
All right,
now.
here we go.
So, to the point that I went out and bought the domain.
That's why I couldn't buy the domain the other day?
Buy the domain.
You got it? The guy that was selling it was like asking $1 million or something.
No, I know that's not true. It's a very low value target is what it's. No. I had this epiphany moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what has to happen. We have to do this. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll flip burgers if that's what it means to pay for my family. But like, okay, let's go. Creative collaboration, I think, is quite possibly the biggest missing commodity in creative businesses right now.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Create Your Art podcast, where we believe that you are an artist and you need to do the hard work of bringing that out into the world because we need your voice. So do it already, okay? I'm here with my good friend, I would say like business connection, partner, colleague,
mentor,
shoot, dude,
better looking friend,
one of my good,
bearded.
Yeah, exactly. One of my good buddies that I get to talk to all the time that has helped me in so many awesome ways, and I'm so pumped to be able to either introduce you to PJ or allow you to get to know him a little bit better. But dude, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, man, it's about time.
Yeah, I know.
So let's just get this all out. We have been talking about your Create Your Art podcast for years.
All right,
now.
Here we go.
So
here it comes, everybody.
What year did you, and we'll get into all this later, but like what year did you step away from full-time vocational ministry to do 1898 Creative?
Oh, yeah. It would be, wait, are you interviewing me?
Yeah. We can do that. Give me your phone. Give me questions.
It would have been around 22, right?
Yeah.
2022.
Okay. So like in 22, we had a conversation about, we did.
I don't remember that.
I remember everything.
This is false.
It's like I'm an elephant. We had a conversation about we should do a podcast called the Create Your Art podcast, to the point that I went out and bought the domain.
Oh, you got the domain. That's why I couldn't buy the domain the other day?
Buy the domain.
You got it?
Trying for it. So when you're ready,
the guy that was selling it was like asking $1 million or something.
No, I know that's not true. It's a very low value target is what it's. No. But I got it for you and go down when it's ready. When you're ready.
That's awesome. Well, dude, regardless, whether it's been a long time coming or not, glad that you're here and always love working and talking with you because we do that a lot to the point that my wife goes, "You're talking with PJ, it'll be a minute." And so
she just gets up and walks out.
She's gone. She's gone. Well, man, you run 43 Creative, which is an awesome agency here locally that you help people do amazing things that I want to hear you tell us about here in a little bit. But before 43 became your main thing, you spent close to 20 years in creative work, but inside of the church, leading worship, running creative teams, all of that. So for those that might not know that chapter, what did that work mean to you? And when did you first kind of start to sense that there might be something more for you out there outside of the walls of the church, if you will?
Outside of the walls of the church, I mean, that's a loaded question, right? Because it's like, are we talking about the church, the building? Or are we talking about the church, the people? And
I think in the ministry sense.
In ministry, yeah. So we kind of have to go back. I can't really do anything in small, short stories, which is why Lauren always leaves when I call.
That's why you're here.
I I grew up in a family that really pushed creative, like let me explore my creativity, right? My dad was a cop, so very black and white. My mom was a math teacher. Even though she was a feeler, she was still very black and white. Like on the Enneagram, she's a 9 or a 1 or a 9-wing 1 or a 1-wing 9. You can relate to that.
Yes.
But in that, like still a lot of black and white, like, numbers equal numbers, right?
Right.
When you're a cop, it's right or wrong. Like there's a lot of that. And then they've got this artist kid who sees all the shades of gray, not just 50 shades of gray. It's like all the shades and all the colors and all the different things. And so, but they let me explore that a lot.
Yeah,
and so,
that's cool.
They got me in piano lessons early. It's nerdy, but I when I got into middle school and got into school band, like I started playing the trombone, because my favorite character from Star Trek played the trombone.
Okay.
So like, I mean,
Okay.
we're just letting it all hang out.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good.
My mom said she didn't know that until just like a month or two ago. She's like, I didn't know that. I'm like, oh yeah, totally. 100%. Like,
That's wild.
Yeah. Anyway. But they let me explore all that. I always drew. I always colored. I think I was a pretty decent artist. So, and had my extended family always built into that as well. And so, much like you, we did the high school youth band thing at church. And so that kind of sparked my love for, playing music live in front of people. And so I started learning how to play bass guitar and,
the bass.
Started on the bass. I broke this finger playing baseball in high school. And so you zoom in, you can see it hitch a little bit. It's kind of weird. So I never thought I'd play real guitar. But so fast forward through high school, I'm playing bass and singing and doing all that. And, just exploring what creativity meant. And then at 16, 17, I felt a call to ministry. Didn't know what that meant. So
none of us really do when that happens.
None of us really do even afterwards.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But so I leaned into it, but I still had this huge love for art. And so my dad is a photographer, and so I had learned a lot from that. And I was doing
I don't think I knew that.
Independent study photography classes at my high school. The year I moved into our high school, it was a brand new school that year. And so the art lab had a Macintosh iMac for everybody in the department. So by the time I graduated high school, I had enough art classes that I could have gone in with an art minor to college.
Oh, wow.
And so I actually went to school a declared art major because I'm like, I'm supposed to do ministry, but I don't know what that means.
Right. You always got to have the backup plan because it's kind of music related. What are we doing here?
What's the joke? Like, what are you going to do with an art degree? Deliver pizzas.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so like, that's kind of what I thought I was getting into. And so, but I went to school a declared art major, and was going to do a ministry minor, because I figured, practical skills. Does that mean I work for the church? I really didn't want to be the guy that was working at a church. Like that was just not my plan for when you say ministry. I always was like, well, let's just figure out something else to do. I was less than a semester into the art program and realized that the department hated me. I hated the department.
They had it out for me.
I know as you were doing your prep and you were reading me your things, you're like, so you went to school a declared art major. That did not go well. No, it did not.
Exactly.
And so, and what it really boiled down to was, I've never been comfortable. I had an art teacher in high school that would like reach over my shoulder and like draw on what I was doing, and I would hate it. It just made me so mad. And so I go to college and I'm getting told what is art and what is not art. And so if you don't know me, I don't do well with that. And I usually tend to speak my mind when I don't do well with something. And so I let everybody know, but it got to the point where like one particular professor kind of killed my interest in it.
Just didn't like it anymore.
And like I would have friends after class coming to me and going like, what did you do to make them so mad? Like he's making you stand up and like give a dissertation on why you think what you did was art. This is like a color theory class. It's not like it's anything.
Not anything deep or
and it's not like I'm not like Van Gogh or painting a Rembrandt or something. Like it's just color theory, bro. Like what in the world? So anyway, that kind of killed it for me. And so I walked away from it, but at the same time, like still had all this like pent up creative energy that I was learning and doing. And so I realized as well, like if I switched my major to Christian ministries and got a ministry degree, I would graduate a semester early. So I'm like,
there's some practical
save the money. So that's kind of why I landed that's why I landed practically in that major.
Yeah.
It really did serve me well.
What I hear though is I hear that you have this, I'll call it a lifelong journey, right?
Sure,
a creative kid doing this thing, get to school, art major, like all this stuff, like and then there's this moment, right, where it's like, whether it's a certain professor, multiple professors, or just the sheer experience itself,
right.
You kind of lose the love of that. Talk to me a little bit about like what that was like from an emotional standpoint. Like, what were you feeling when all of a sudden it was like everything that I thought about where I was headed, even though ministry was there and kind of just tucked behind, it was like, that was like probably the first time that art kind of just fell out.
Yeah. Well, are you ready for a therapy session?
Let's go, baby.
I honestly, I don't know that I've ever thought about it like that before in that context. Like there have definitely been those like identity driven changes throughout my life. But like that was kind of one of those ones where it was like, well, you're telling me here what I'm doing is not art.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go do whatever I want anyway.
Yeah.
Like whether I graduate with your degree and, kowtow to what you're saying, which I've also never been good at.
Sure.
You could have my mom and dad on the podcast at some point and they could tell you some stories.
Tell me more about,
but like for me, that one there was kind of a freeing moment in that because of some of the like release. Like I could still draw, I can still paint, I can still create stuff. I was terrible at clay.
Oh yeah.
Like
that was never good.
But I can build stuff with wood. Like, but like when you talk about doing clay, like I am not a ceramics person. Anyway, but the where it all ran down though for me, I think in that time was like, well, I guess if I'm just gonna not do that piece anymore, then I'm gonna turn it around and find other ways to be creative. And so I walked away from it. I mean, I probably, if you were to go back through like all my journals and notepads and drawing pads and all that kind of stuff, that's probably the timeline of when that kind of left. But I was playing music. And so that's really when like, oh, well, like, let me put all my creative juices into this. And so I really, at that point, I was playing in a couple of bands in college already, doing gigs and playing for people and like fill-in sessions. I did some studio work when I was in college and just absolutely loved all that.
That was the best.
You know those, right?
That was the best.
And so when I'm getting ready to graduate, I'd just gotten married, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
And I'm about to have a wife. What do I do for work?
Well, I guess that's true. I was just getting ready to get married. And I'm like, and then I only have one semester left in school because I'm graduating early. Like, what am I going to do with my life? And at that time, like I said, I knew I was going to do something in ministry. I just didn't know what that meant. And then I was in a college small group that was being led by a guy who was a like the young adult pastor at one of the churches in town. Transferred out of that role into being an executive director for Youth for Christ. And so he's like, hey, I'm doing this and we're starting these new clubs. Why don't you come do one of those? It's a full-time job. You have to do some fundraising and blah, blah, blah. And so at that point, I was like, cool, I don't have to work in a church. I can work with my family, but I can still do ministry. I realized I was a terrible youth pastor.
No.
I was not, like, youth was not my thing. Little kids, like, you know that scene in The Santa Claus where Tim Allen's starting to get fat and his beard keeps growing in and he's sitting at the park watching his son play soccer and the little kids like line up to sit on his lap. I've always been that guy. This is not a weight statement or the white in my beard statement, which is like both are a problem.
Notice we're about 6 months on Christmas. It's starting to get a little white over there, buddy. What's happening?
My wife told me, she's like, by the time or when we have grandkids, I really hope your beard is all white. I'm like, cool. Okay, thanks. Love you too. Anyway, but so like I've always been good with little kids, but like teenagers and even at that, like the teenagers were fine. It was like their parents.
Yeah, that's
like,
really what it was.
I don't really want to do this for the rest of my life. at the same time, still playing in a band, leading worship for events, and then playing shows outside of church context too. And the church that I grew up in calls me up and says, "We want to hire you to do the contemporary thing."
It was back in those days of the split,
2003, 2004. Yeah. We want you to come. Like, we're trying to like grow our young adult connection, and so like we want you to come lead this service, be as creative as you want. Everything's on the table. You've got use of this space. Do what you want. We're kind of envisioning like coffee and pastries and bagels and like acoustic, or you could go electric, like kind of your thing. And so I said no.
That's not where I thought that was going.
But I had already decided we were leaving Youth for Christ just because we didn't feel like it was the right fit. And so lots of prayer, lots of time together, lots of discussions and reading some different stuff. And then they kept coming back. And I'm like, okay, this is the third time you're coming back. Maybe I should actually
Maybe I should really think about it.
And so ended up taking that job, moved back to Indianapolis area, and did that for 3 years at a church. And it was awesome because it was like it was one of those, like, everybody knew you, they trusted me because I'd been around. I mean, I from birth, there were a couple of years we weren't there, but basically from birth until that point, I had attended that church. So all of the
people knew you.
Everybody knew me. They trusted what I was doing, and they'd seen me lead worship. They'd seen me be involved. They've, heard me pray, because that's a big thing with some places. Like, can you speak in front of people? And,
you don't just sing good, but you can pray good too.
Interesting though, I did take that job, and I couldn't play guitar yet. Like,
you were still a bass player.
I was still just a bassist. And so I had learned over the years how to surround myself with the right people. Yeah. And so built a team, grew that, had a lot of fun, lots of art related stuff. So that was back as like, for people that like go to church now, they're used to seeing art on the screens with lyrics and all that kind of stuff. Prior to like the early 2000s, that was not a thing. It was like the projector screen, like with the projector and the clear transparency.
The transparencies.
Like little Lois sitting in the front row would change them around.
She'd change them, and then you'd see her, she'd fix the word that she misspelled.
With a dry erase marker or a Sharpie. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so, this was all new. Yeah. And so like on the forefront of that was super awesome. And it was a way that was really able to connect creativity to an experience, to enhance someone's experience, and then make a connection, hopefully, that would like help grow their faith or help them ask questions to explore and that kind of stuff. So absolutely love doing all of that.
Yeah, I love the thought on that of what you just outlined is it's art has a purpose and an expression there that is beyond just being creative, right? Like, my 5-year-old loves to draw and be creative and live in his imaginary world. Yeah, that's fine and good, but like, how does it actually translate to an experience? And so you're speaking about it in the church context, but what is that thing that lives in people that gets them excited to move somebody down a journey, right? I mean, that's the whole create your art thing that I stand for, is that there's something inside of somebody else. A couple episodes ago, I talked with my good buddy, Sean Kirby, who's in finance, but watching how he's playing that game, you almost outlined very similar things of what he would say, of like walking somebody through a journey and a path to unlock, to have this experience, to have this connection. It's just like, it's so cool to see those things kind of tie in together that way. And obviously I grew up very similar to you in this. So I get it. Like that, bro, you're speaking my language. It's like, I get it. It was not good. And we tried to make it better over time. And now it's like getting better. And, what you see now in church is completely what we've been trying to do for years.
Take church out of it. I think that's the artistic spirit as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean,
100.
That's what bands do.
Yep.
The good bands that are out there, right? Like they're not just up there to play music and get famous and do drugs. And I mean, if that's your thing, maybe that's their thing.
Some of them, but
but like, do they then have the stay power, the impact that the bands that we all like, you go, oh man, like a song that's 30 years old comes on and you're like, oh, that's so good.
It moves us, and that's what it boils down to, and that's what I get so excited about, and why I love the imagery of art and bands and things of that nature, is because it's a community, it's a connection, it's a movement. It makes me think of, there was a quote by Dave Grohl in some interview somewhere along the way where somebody was talking about like his political leanings or something, and he's like, it doesn't matter. For 3 hours we're all in unity together around this thing. And bro, that just fires me up, right? Like that's just like, oh, that's so beautiful. And why probably some of the church work that we got to experience over the years was good for us, is because we got to see that. We might not have had language for it per se, but that was what it was.
Yeah.
And so
I think it's not just bands, right? Like it's also artists. Yeah. And you recognize there's a lot of artists that have, and musicians and bands and all that too, that have struggles that they're working through, that they're processing through. And sometimes I heard somebody say one time, no offense to anybody who's a counselor out there, but like a lot of people that go into counseling are trying to fix themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That.
And so it's the same kind of thing. Like when you're going on a journey, a faith journey, an art journey, a finance journey, a video journey, a branding journey, whatever, when you can make those connections, like relationally, informatively, in a business plan, whatever, however that plays out, like those are the things that just make a difference. And then in the faith context of what I was doing at that point, still do some, and how we operate, even like how our business is partnered. Like those things change atmospheres, right? The right painting in your room changes the room. To quote the Big Lebowski, the rug really brings the room together.
Wow, throwback. Love that.
Really ties the room together, I think, isn't it? Anyway, but in the whole context of it, like that's what art is supposed to do, and that's what the creative spirit is supposed to do. And so
that's so good.
Walking through, let's call it the loss of that, and then figuring out how to shift it into something else in a different way, and make a difference with it, is kind of where I have always lived. If you get into fivefold or apest or what's the business term one that they use for it, that's all the same thing.
Genius.
Not the working genius. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But like,
anyway, some personality thing or something.
Yeah. I've always been in that like apostle pioneer, going out and starting new things. And I know you're in some of that too.
Yeah.
And then that really high creative is in there too. So like I'm an apostle prophet or a pioneer creative.
Pioneer creative.
Where you are the creative pioneer.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways, the things that we work on kind of dovetail that way. And even figuring that out, like for us to figure out how to work on those things together by accident is a whole extra thing, like of how art plays all together.
So fun,
so
man.
wild. And
man, it's so fun because I love, in what you're talking, that gives language to maybe something that I haven't even shared here, is just that it's really about the artist spirit and finding that artist spirit within each of us. Because I think, there are so many times that, I mean, we've heard people say it all the time. Well, I'm working this job. I really don't love it. It's just my thing. It's paying the bills, and maybe it's good money, maybe it's not, but ultimately they kind of just feel stuck. But there's that thing pulling them into something deeper, something more, something bigger. And that's really what that artist spirit, I think, is for us. And it might not play out how you and I do it with guitars or music or, you know, painting or whatever that is. But ultimately, it's a place where that artist spirit can live. And I think if we all live in that artist, there's got to be something here. That we live in the artist spirit somehow. That's the way we make the world a better place, right? When all of us find that. I don't know. There's something there. Anyway, regardless. So you've been on this journey. Obviously, you were in ministry for a while then, and then there's this kind of this whole thing that we know you as today of this 43 creative. And so that was kind of a, not necessarily a left turn, but you kind of went back into art, but like also with business and graphic design and all this thing. And now that, like, talk me through the start of 43. When you started it, did you feel ready for something like that? Or was this a kind of a test run piece that you were putting on? Like, walk me through that journey a little bit.
Well, again, I got to start back before the start of 43.
See, I try to get you up here, so then we go right back to where, we're getting there, man.
So in 07, I left that church that I had grown up at doing that service and helped plant a church in Fishers. The whole intention, basically doing the same thing, like be super creative, but come be our creative director. And we got really excited. My wife and I got really excited about that because we had just moved to Fishers. We were introducing people that were going to be a part of that to our friends who were not connected to church. And so that kind of like come along, bring the right people around you, vibe, attitude that I have always kind of like tried to do, started to happen again more naturally with this. And so we launched in 07. And at the same time, I had just started doing some freelance projects. Like I'd been doing here for 3 years. I'd been doing art again, that I had kind of walked away from because of Professor what's his name. And then
he doesn't
I really don't remember his name.
He's just moment. What's a name.
But then the names have been changed to protect the innocent. I'd been doing art again for about 3 years in the context of running this service and like growing this artistic creation thing. And so doing that, then we go launch this new church in Fishers and we're doing all of that again. And one of the guys that's part of that church plant is a teacher in Fishers in HSE who is also just starting to do some freelance work. And so we're kind of walking the same path accidentally at the same time. And so we start picking each other's brains. You know, hey, will you critique this logo that I'm doing? Or hey, I'm doing this layout. Will you give me some pointers? Or neither one of us had art degrees, right? Like we were doing full-time jobs, doing other things and doing this. And so we were like, we did about a year or so, not quite a year of that. And we were like, maybe we need to start a business together. And so we started a business called PM Design because it was our night job. Oh. And our initials started with a P and an M. So
okay, that's like what I was originally going, but it's our
we were sitting in my home office at the time. This was before kids. But before I had kids. They had one, but we're sitting there like kind of like scheming and dreaming. And I was like, we could call it PM Design because we have day jobs. And we both went, wait a minute, those are our initials. We should totally do like, so that like that's what we ran with for years. And so we're doing that thing where we're kind of running this agency and primarily focused on working with nonprofits and churches because marketing agencies are not cheap. I mean, and you know, we're talking 07, so almost 20 years ago. Right. And even at that point, like churches do things on a much different budget. So we're saying, how do we still bring, you know, that professionalism of creativity and brand management and all that. So we really started doing branding and brand management for nonprofits and churches. That's what we were doing. And so did that for 7 or 8 years together. And then
all as a PM job.
yeah, but just on the side, right? Because I was still working full time for the church, and he was working full time for the school.
For the school, yeah.
And the goals on it were super low hanging fruit.
Right.
I wanted to pay for summer vacation for my family and Christmas presents. Like that was my legitimately low hanging fruit goals for what we were doing with that. And so that was going well. It was going fine. And then my buddy Mark, he got really into print, like the print side of things. And so he was spinning off to sell and work with schools doing yearbooks.
Yeah.
And like this whole thing with that. So he went off and did this. And so I just kind of kept PM design as like side hustle periodically. Same
nothing
goals,
too crazy.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
And then it was really in the summer of 17. Like just started getting this weird like I don't really know what I'm supposed to do when I grow up. Like,
because you're still in ministry, you're still doing this, you still have this side thing.
Yeah, and by this point I have renamed it 43 Creative. That was probably the year 17 was probably the year that I did that. I should probably know. I'd like
to. PM was your initials. 43 Creative was the year, but you were not.
No, I was thinking to the future. No, it's actually 40:3. So it's out of Psalm 40 verse 3, which is I have a new song in my heart to sing, and so it was kind of this like moment where I was like, something new is happening and I don't really know what that means and where that's coming from. And to play it back to bands that have staying power, multiple times I have seen U2 live, and they have a song called 40 that is legitimately singing that verse or that chapter of scripture.
Oh, that's so good.
And one of the most like profound religious moments of my entire life was standing on the floor at the United Center, listening to tens of thousands of people sing scripture and go, they don't even know, not all of them even know what they're doing right now. And it's just like this beautiful picture of here's a new song, right, that everyone is singing. And it's an old song, it's from the 80s, but but so for me, those were like how do I tie my love of music and my love for art and connections, and that's where it kind of connected. And so
that's good.
And I'm going through this new, like what's new, what's happening, what's next. And it was less than a year later, I was leaving that church because my wife and I both just felt like our time there was done. And not to be overly spiritual, but I have a hard time compartmentalizing. We both really felt like God was telling us, just go. I'll show you what's next. And I'm like,
start walking, start moving. We'll figure it out from there.
And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have a very particular set of skills when it comes to like, I can play some guitar, I can do some singing, I can make some visuals, I can make some logos and videos and, whatever. And the week that we decided to quit, I mean, and remember, like my goal for, at that point now, 43 Creative was really low. We make the decision we're leaving this church. That weekend, by the end of the weekend, I had an entirely full client book to pay me full time. And we're going, what? How did this work? And so some of them worked out, some of them didn't. But now here we are 8 years later, almost 9 years later, and this is what we've been doing. And
I want to touch on that point because I think the message that we're getting a lot in the conversations that I'm having currently on the Create Your Art podcast is these moments of folks finding themselves at that crossroads. And usually that crossroads goes from what is comfortable and easy and what I know into this very uncomfortable, unknown conversation. For you, it's going, I feel like God just tells me to go do that.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to follow that. Other people go, I've been burning with this thing for a long time and I don't know. And now kind of is the time. I want to talk about that moment there of like, okay, we're making this decision. We're leaning into now what is 43 Creative after a long time in this other thing. What emotionally, how were we feeling about that?
Scared out of my mind. There's no really other way to say it because I've got 2 little kids at home. I've got a wife. We've been married now for almost 15 years at that point when we were making that decision. And so,
good job on that.
Thank you. But yeah, I'm going, I don't know what this means.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in Chicago for a conference when it was like really like, no, this is what we have to do. And Angie and I had already talked about it. Angie's my wife. I don't know if I've said that yet. Angie and I had been talking about it, and she was kind of already there. Like she was ready. I wasn't.
Wow.
And
you normally don't hear it that way.
Right.
Wow.
And so I was in Chicago for this conference, and I remember like having this like epiphany moment, or as from the movie Hook, an apostrophe moment. I had this epiphany moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what has to happen. We have to do this.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll flip burgers if that's what it means to pay for my family. But like, okay, let's go. Let's start walking. Let's go. Like, God, show me where you want me to go. Yeah. That was just my prayer. Right. Yeah. And that night, because it was in Chicago, my in-laws lived in Chicagoland. And so they were coming in to meet me for dinner that night. And I walk in, I'm going to get emotional. Not supposed to get emotional.
Got him. Got him.
This one's the business one. When we talk with Early Wine on his podcast, like it makes sense that I get emotional, right? But like, no, I'm not supposed
this
to.
Is it. This is it.
Anyway,
this is the stuff.
Real stuff. The real stuff. I'm a 4 on the Enneagram. I'm okay with crying, but it's fine. But I sit down with my in-laws, and I remember looking at them and going, like, I think I'm supposed to leave this church job. Yeah. And what I was saying was, we feel like we're supposed to. In my mind and my spirit and my body, I felt like I was saying, I'm not going to be able to provide for your daughter and your grandkids. Like, that's what I'm feeling. And they were super supportive. Yeah. Angie's super supportive because she was ready. Like, she knew we were, she's always been a little bit ahead of me on that, as many a good wife are.
Yeah, that's so fun.
So yeah, I mean, like, legitimately, we were in that, like, scared, we don't know.
Hey, quick pause here. If you are thinking about starting a podcast or have already started one and it's not driving business results like you would like it to, we would love to help. At 1898 Creative, we install a proven podcast system, a strategy that helps you leverage your message to attract premium clients without adding more to your plate. So if you're ready to turn your podcast into an authority engine, book a call over at 1898creative.com and let's build something awesome together. All right, now let's get back to the conversation.
So you have this journey, right? You're feeling something stirring. For you, you're praying through it, trying to figure that out. Obviously, the same thing's happening with your wife, and you go, like, there's this moment, right? That all kind of leads to this moment of you being able to say it out loud. What, like once you said it, and it sounds like you kind of hedged your bets even when you said it out loud for the first time to your in-laws.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm thinking about it. I'm doing it, but I'm thinking about it.
Well, I think what I said to them was, it's time for us to do this. Yeah. Like, I think that's the way I actually said it. But in my mind, I'm like, I don't think I can, I don't know that, like, I mean, and of course, like, you know, we weren't leaving for bad reasons. Like, you know, there's all the, you know, church politics and fall from grace stuff that we see happen all the time in the church right now. There's none of that. Like, everything's leaning positive. And so we're like, really good point to do that. You know, it's the leave on a high note. Yeah. You know?
Okay. So do you feel like you were leaving a job, or were you choosing a different career?
Good question. I don't think I was even thinking about it from a career standpoint, but I also didn't feel like it was necessarily leaving a job. I felt like it was stepping into the next adventure.
Okay.
I'm not a very risk averse person.
Sure.
Which is odd for a firstborn most of the time, right? Usually we're the rule followers, and there are certain things that
I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's so true.
But for me, it's like, my parents got my brother, he's 5 years younger than me, but everybody thinks he's older than me, which I think is hilarious.
That's awesome.
But they got him a t-shirt that says, that's a terrible idea. When do we start? Because that's his personality. Yeah. And the same year they got me one that was like sarcastic comment loading, and it had a loading bar.
The loading bar. That's pretty good.
I like that. And, it fits. But I've always been the like, let's go. Let's go build something. Let's go make something. If it doesn't work, we'll build the next thing. Like, it's just kind of how I've always been. So as scared as I was, there's also this excitement of like, okay, God, what's next?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Where are we going? What does that mean? Yeah. And so it was very shortly after that, just for time perspective, of when you and I connected. That's when we finally connected, was in like 18.
That's right. Which was 19. Under music related things.
It was.
Which is wild.
Which is still what we talk about quite a bit.
It's all in there, man. It is all in there. Well, I love that, because I think that's an interesting distinction, I think, sometimes, because sometimes you leave a job and sometimes you step into something bigger. And you're saying that there was something about the adventure that kind of called you out there, because you're like, okay, I've at least exhausted this here. And so now I'm going to step into this. And that's what kind of lit you up a little bit there.
Yeah. There's a point there of like what we had been studying, and the thing that like was really standing out to Angie and I in that was, there's a story in the Old Testament where Abraham is called into a new land, and he doesn't know where he's supposed to go, right? And it's just go, and I'll show you. I'll tell you when you get there. I'll show you. Like, trust me. It's the same thing we've been talking about with you recently with your house sale, right?
Jeez.
Like, watch me. Watch me show up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we did. And there was definitely some of that like identity shift and loss, because here, like, my creativity has been coming out primarily in music at this point, and some visuals and some graphics and all that. But it wasn't like I was working for a church. Dollars were not really tied to that, But now all of a sudden I'm turning and making some of the same things my livelihood.
Right.
Still playing in a band, still, leading conferences and doing a bunch of different stuff with that, and still having a great time playing and doing all of the music stuff too. But all of a sudden you're going, now I gotta work. I gotta build.
Yeah.
How do I help people create?
Yeah.
And for me, the exciting part there of what happened with that was, and it took me a while to get there, but really it's not about me coming in and telling you, I made this thing for you. It's about me getting to sit down with somebody, get to know them, get to tell their story, get to help their vision get amplified. And it was just a couple of years ago, I think I'm right at 2 years, where I finally caught.
I remember the moment.
Because I called you.
Yeah.
You were the first person that I called. It was the middle of a day. Angie was at work, and I'm like, I gotta tell somebody this. I just figured it out. I've been trying to figure out how to take the 43 that talks about the new song, right? And then my love for music. And tattoos and all the and if you're ever on a Zoom with me, like, we got guitars everywhere. Like, and people are always intrigued by it, and I tell the stories of whatever. But then also my love for helping people in this creative art business, creative branding, marketing, whatever. And that moment where I finally figured out, like, the connection was, for generations, stories have been passed down through songs. Because they were that's how you could remember it. And so there's a melody, there's instrumentation, there's all the different pieces, and all the different things play together to make these songs, right?
Yep.
And all of a sudden it was this, oh my gosh, I'm helping people write their songs through their visions for their businesses, for their startups, for their whatever, you know, and like whether that's a website or a logo or whatever, I'm helping their vision come to fruition. So in music speak, like I'm playing like the producer role, like I'm helping all the things fit, right? And so when all of a sudden I'm trying to figure out like, what's my catchphrase? What's my line? What's my, like, and I finally caught amplify, right? I'm helping them amplify their stories. That's a connection to guitars and to amps and to music and blah, 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 blah. And it was finally at that point in like 2023, 24, when I was finally able to like actually do something with my own website.
I've built all these other ones.
Helping everybody else do
now
theirs.
let's do
Mine's
mine.
the one that's going to be the last thing. But it was like, I'm spending all this time and energy focusing on helping other people. And then I'm finally like, let's go. And so that's
it was that spark. It was that muse, that thing that just kind of clicked.
Another great band.
Oh yeah, that's a great band.
They're coming to town.
I know. I might have a ticket
Already? I just heard.
A buddy might have a ticket. And I got a ticket if his wife doesn't show up.
Oh, so there you go.
We're praying hard for that. I love all of that, but what was the scariest part about building all of this? Like, was there a time that you went, I shouldn't have done this?
Only in the morning.
I might have been on the other end of some of those phone calls.
Yeah, you absolutely have been. So I think the thing for me, I've always been collaborative. Like I always want to, we've been talking about this. I always would bring people around, right?
Yeah.
Find the right people, find the good connections, whether it's, I need a drummer in a band, or I need a good bass player, or like, well, PJ, you can play bass. Well, yeah, I can play bass, but like, I want to play guitar or, whatever. Like, but you can't do all of it. The one man band, you end up looking like, Dick Van Dyke from Mary Poppins or something.
Exactly.
Doing all the things, and it never like really works.
Yeah. And the second Dave Grohl reference of the podcast being that he was a one man band on that first record, and he still had to find the people to surround himself with to make it what the Foo Fighters are today.
Right. And there's lots of stories where it's like, no, he's leading the direction, right? Yeah. Like, no, those drums aren't right, so I'm going to re-record them, which is going to make the drummer mad, so he's going to quit, so that then now, and all that. Like, I don't want to be that kind of a leader.
Sure.
Like,
that's not a leadership
people. I don't want to burn
lesson.
Burn people down. I do love Dave Grohl, though.
Oh, bro.
Same. But in the context of that, like, I'm going, I could do all these things, but I need to kind of have the right people around, but I don't know where to do that. I don't know how to do that. I can't necessarily pay them to do that. Like, how do you do that? And so I think one of the scarier moments was when you say yes to when I've said yes to something, because again, not risk averse, willing to give it the college try. And the college try, I tried art in college.
He's connected.
There might be something else there.
He's connected.
Anyway, I was trying to, I give something the college try, and I can go, if this isn't going to work, I have zero problem going and saying, hey, help me out. Help me figure this out. So I think the scariest moments have been those ones where I get over my head. Right. But that's where people like you, our good friend, Dustin Peed, lots of people in different ways have played out to help in different situations to figure those out. And it becomes this growing network, right? So today, 43 operates as a co-op agency where it's not just, on paper, 43 Creative is just me.
Sure.
But I have you as a video partner. And I can do some video
Yeah.
that maybe I'm handing off to you and you and
100.
your team are editing, or I bring you in on a client project and you're doing all of this. Or I have a social media manager who runs social media for all the clients that I work with on social media, but she's got her own business doing that. Same with SEO, same with, some WooCommerce and some website editing and some development and some of these kinds of things. And so now I've got this team that isn't fully relying on me.
Sure. But there's still collaboration.
Right. And so I'm trying to figure out how to collaborate in those things even better. And sometimes it's real easy to go, oh, I'll just figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's never as good as when you bring everybody together.
Yeah,
I mean, your Foo Fighters reference is a perfect opportunity. That first record is great. But as you get down the line and you start bringing in Pat and Chris and Taylor and Rami and now is it Elon?
I don't know how to pronounce it.
I mean, like
he's good though.
Yeah, exactly. You bring all these people in, and all of a sudden you've got something that's different. That's going to play in to different connections, different ways, because of what everybody brings to the table.
Yeah.
So that. To take the fear aspect out of something, like the fearful moments are when I get over my head. The breath of fresh air is when I call you and go, hey, how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
Or I call Anna, who does social media, and be like, here's what we need to do to up this and make this better. Help me figure this out. That kind of stuff.
Man, it's funny because I was on a podcast this last week and talking to him about, it was a leadership podcast piece, and walking through like some core value, like defining core value pieces and all that kind of fun stuff. And so he walked me through a process of like defining a core value, not core values. And one thing that he did was he had these 3 questions that you put it through, and he walked us through, and I'm going to probably giving away his secrets at this point, but it was on a podcast that will be live. There's this idea of like, what do you enjoy? Okay. Music, guitar, that coffee. Well, what's a passion? Passion is something you kind of rearrange your time around, right? So that for me, it was like, I ended up walking through this thing and getting to the word collaboration. And collaboration went more from, it got to a place where like, that could be a possible core value of mine. Well, he has these 3 questions that he asks. I'm not going to remember the first or the third, but I'm going to remember the second one. If you say yes to all 3 of these questions, it could be a core value of yours. And the middle one was, in chaos, do you run to it?
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, oh, because a lot of core values sometimes are like, family is a core value. And it's like, well, often some of the chaos is coming from your family.
Yeah,
You
right.
run to the family. So that's how he's defining it, right?
Right.
But that question stood out to me because collaboration was, I go, oh yeah, I do run to it when chaos hits. Because much like what you just said, there's so many times that I go, PJ, oh my God, like,
right.
I need collaboration. I need you to think through this with me. I need you to be in what I love about 43 and the way you've started to build this thing out is that, it is these, siloed agencies that come together under one, but ultimately it's the collaboration piece. It's the I don't have to be the everything for everybody. I can just show up and do what I do best, and that's what I love. You call me about video stuff, we figure it out, we rock it out. And I don't have to go, well, now I got to figure out the marketing strategy too, or the social media part of it, or whatever. And that's what's beautiful about what you're building is that there's community and there's collaboration.
Collaboration is one of my core values in my business. So
it's funny because I think after this podcast this week, I'm like, I think that's one of my major core values. And you know what he said? He said this, he goes, I want you to come up with a visual representation, right? For him, it might be like a scripture, that whole thing. But he goes, what's a visual thing that stands out to you? And bro, as soon as he said it, a band came to mind.
Yeah, right.
And dude, it like for me, you might be over there going, yeah, I get it. But for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I'd never thought of it this way. And it takes me back to the first band that I was in, because I was telling the stories of the first band that I was in, all that kind of fun stuff. And it was like, why was that such a big moment for me? Why was that band? Why do I have sushi on my arm? Right. Because that was the first band of first band I was in called Sushi Bar. Anyway, I'll tell that story later. But
can I be on that episode?
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. But that moment had such a lasting impact because it put that artist spirit in me in that time.
Yeah.
You know, to go, oh, I can connect with myself here and see why I can do something in the world. It connects me in collaboration with other people. Now we have to go together. It connects me to God in ways that I never thought was possible.
Yeah.
Oh, that thing, the collaboration of that. So the band is now kind of that representation. I used to always think that I was the goofy guy that at 43 was still, hey, I'm only 42, but I said 43 because
we've been talking about 43.
43.
What's
Anyway,
your birthday?
You're February next year. But no, the fact like at 42, I'm still talking about bands.
Yeah.
Like it feels sometimes like, why are you talking about that? But that's because that was the moment. That was the thing that literally changed everything for me and installed that artist spirit within me. And so that's why I just went on a collaboration tangent there for a minute. But
well, and I think here's something else to play into that collaboration piece. You said community, right? One of the things that I'm passionate about is people. Always have been.
Yeah.
I was an extrovert growing up in a family of origin of introverts.
Hey, have you met my family? They're awesome.
Then I marry an introvert.
Oh yeah, I see
now,
where this is going.
Both of my kids are extroverts.
Oh, they went the opposite way. Okay, I wasn't sure.
We're all like, we sit at dinner and the three of us are just going and my wife's just sitting there eating like, you guys are wearing me out.
And she's like, I got to go take a nap.
She does go to bed early, so maybe that's why.
That's probably why.
But like the idea of community, and one of the things I love about the way that you're talking about the creative spirit in general, I think we just coined a phrase for you to keep bringing out is the creative spirit. But the way you're talking about it with your other guests that you've had on the pod so far, like really you're talking about building community with people and showing that there are different ways to create your art and show your artistry and all of those kinds of things that show a different process for people. To speak specifically to people in creative industries right now, there is such a scarcity mindset of I've got to do this and I've got to hold on to it. And I don't want to collaborate because I'm afraid that somebody's going to come take my client away from me or this, that, and the other thing. There is so much space for all of us to find our stuff and to work together. Creative collaboration, I think, is quite possibly the biggest missing commodity in creative businesses right now.
Yeah.
And so I think that like unintentionally is why I built and am building 43 Creative this way.
Makes sense.
I was not intentionally going like, oh, I need to go find creative people to be in community with. That was just happening naturally because I'm a creative person and you're a creative person.
And you're an extrovert.
And I'm an extrovert. And we're going to find people that do the same things and like the same things and have the same passions. But like to go, oh, I need this help. And is it somebody that I would know, like, and trust? Yeah. Is it somebody that I would love to go have drinks and wings with or spend time with outside or have over to family dinner?
For sure.
Or, like these are all the questions that I ask. And like, if we can get to that kind of community space for people where creatives in creative industries are not like fighting against, that would be such a huge win, dude. Like
be huge.
Other designer friends, other web design friends or video friends, like, we can all celebrate each other when they have a win. If we're both going up against some, like if we're both pitching to the same client and one of them gets it, like, cool, let's celebrate that other person and know that something else is going to come down the road that might be better for us.
And how do you do that? Because I think I love the concept, right? I love the idea of that. But I know that there's so many times, you scroll down Instagram too long and you see somebody that's in the same field as you celebrating something or showing you their highlight reel of life, and you almost go, like it almost brings you the opposite way.
Absolutely. But you're also not seeing the 70,000 fails.
Right.
in the back end of their Instagram feed, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Nobody's saying the bad stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's why I think it's Simon Sinek. When anytime he gets up and talks, he always starts with a confession. Right? Have you noticed this?
I've heard him say that.
And he's talked about this too. Like he gets up and he's like, I have a confession to make. And he humanizes himself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then so much of what he's talking about is about building into people and building relationships and diving into what I would call, and I think makes sense, those soft skills of it's not about business building. It's about people building. And so when he gets up and he humanizes himself because he's doing this confession or he's saying somewhere he messed up really big or whatever, like all of a sudden you go, okay, I can relate to this guy.
Yeah.
Like it makes more sense.
Yeah. Makes you lean in a little bit
as
more.
opposed to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. It's all just the positive getting slammed in your face all the time, which is a form of addiction, right? Like, yeah.
I know it's gotten me. Well, and what I hear you saying in that is maybe there's a moment of stopping. Maybe there's a moment of going, hey, I feel like I'm not doing something I should be because I see this person getting the award or getting the accolade or getting the client or getting the thing, and bringing yourself back to the abundance mindset. You know, and remembering that all of us on this journey of building something that matters and lasts in this world is filled with a lot of pushback, a lot of resistance, a lot of unknowns, a lot of question marks. And if we can continue to press into that, and when we find ourselves button up against that lack of imagination there, that there's more out there, we always come back to there's got to be an abundance mindset. There's got to be more here, and just reminding ourselves. If we could simply just remind ourselves, I think that would be a good place to start, because so often we're caught up in the algorithms or whatever, and we miss the fact that we're in this together. I think
that's why the community piece is so important, whether it's collaboration, friend groups, work related, going to church, being in a band, whatever, is you have somebody that sees a different perspective and can say, hey, hang on, take a breath. I will be honest. Sometimes the hardest person for me to hear that from is my wife.
Sure.
You know, like, don't nitpick at me. Don't nag on me about this. Like, and not that she does any of that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, if we can hear it in the context that it's being given, which in my wife's standpoint, like, it's always coming from a standpoint of love. Yeah. Always coming from a standpoint of care. Yeah. Same thing then when I go sit down with clients who bring me in to talk strategy or branding or website or whatever, because I'm not an employee and I'm trying to help them grow and reach their vision and their goals. And that's my goal, right? Like, let me help you reach this. If I'm not the one, let me help you find the person who will be. But it gives you an opportunity to speak a little differently, because you can say, all I'm trying to do here is help, you know? And so in a community aspect of that, that's why you can call me and be like, hey, have you thought about this? Hey, man, like, you said this thing, but I think really maybe what you were trying to get to was this. Have you thought about it this way? Or, you know, whatever that looks like. Whether it's a relational thing or a business thing, or like even this morning when we were kicking stuff back and forth on one of your products that you're working on. Like, how do we do that? Like, I have zero remorse in my life if somebody asks me for help to help them process through something if they win. Like, all I want to do is celebrate that. All I want to do is help them see that and achieve that and reach that. And so whether that's in community or in client work or in my family, with my kids, with my wife, with my friends, with the music that I play, like, that's what we want is to see that celebration come to fruition.
I love that. And I think that, you know, as we're here in this point of the conversation, let's talk a little bit about Like let's turn towards somebody that's out there that might be wrestling with the idea of maybe where you were at when you were leaving this secure job to something a little bit more unknown, or somebody that feels like there's something deeper inside of them that they got to go do, and fear has crept up, insecurities, the little imposter syndrome says, who are you to try to do that? What would you say to somebody like that?
If you're watching the podcast and feeling that, email Darren to get my contact info and we can sit down and have coffee. No, I mean, in all honesty, like I think what I would say is go seek wise counsel. Not just necessarily from somebody in that space too, right? Maybe it's a mentor who wants to get in, or who I don't even have a good example in that. Like maybe it's a mentor, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a pastor, maybe it's somebody you met, probably not just some Joe Schmo off the street, but like,
hey Jimmy, can I tell you something?
But to reach out and like be open, have the conversation, see what's next. I think that's one of the things too. And this is probably not just an Instagram, Facebook algorithm problem, but like, I mean, I grew up, I mentioned I grew up with a cop dad, like who for his job had to be emotionally distant in certain aspects.
Sure.
I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to compartmentalize. That's why I can get emotional on a podcast talking about saying something to my in-laws however many years ago, like all these things. And so when I look at that and I go, but that feels weird to me because my dad wasn't that way. I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen my dad cry, right? My uncles weren't that way. My grandparents weren't that way. Like, so it's weird, but the authentic side of it is I have to say it to process it. I have to get there. So in all honesty, I mean, whether it's me or it's you or it's somebody, go talk to somebody who has either experienced what you're going through or can help you look at it from a different perspective. Can
process it in some way. Absolutely. And what I love with what you just said there is it literally is an exclamation point on what we just said prior to that, which is community. Connection, community, collaboration. That's how you get through that. That's how you get beyond the I gotta do something I don't know what to do. And often how our relationship plays out in so many times where it's just like, bro, I'm struggling. I gotta call PJ and just, talk at him about this, like this is what it feels like.
Talk at someone. And sometimes that's what you need. And then sometimes you need to be able to hear. And I find the people that you're usually the most comfortable talking at about the real stuff are usually the ones that have something to say back to you that would be impactful.
It's good.
I mean, I can talk at a blank wall,
I've seen you try a few times.
But I don't expect the wall to respond. And so that's why I say seek wise counsel. Because it's somebody that is going to hear you and respond to you and not judge you and help you process. And I mean, the fear factor is real, right? But there's always an antidote, and it usually comes by not being alone.
Movement and not being alone. I've heard you say those a couple of different times in the story that you unfolded for us today is movement and don't be alone. And man, dude, that's so cool. And that's so awesome. And I appreciate you sharing your story with us today, just because I think, whether we know you well or not, there's lessons to be learned in the journey.
Sure.
And I think that's what's beautiful about that. And man, I will say
how many things we didn't talk about.
Oh, bro, we skipped over. There's probably notes in here that I should have hit, but no. But man, I just appreciate you, just your friendship, your connection, your community, right? The fact that I still can call you and you don't just go, ooh, hang up. It's been an awesome journey, and I'm glad to play a small role in those little siloed connection community pieces that we get to be a part of.
Well, don't undersell your part in that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, even when we were talking about how we connected through music back in 18.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, probably 18-ish. I mean, you have a million kids since then.
Oh, just so many kids since then. So many.
But like, even through that, to look at it and go, oh, we were talking about these things over here.
Yeah.
And really what that was doing was setting us up for all of these things over here. Yeah. Our buddy JJ said to me when I was leaving, so one of the parts we didn't talk about is that we were both on staff at a church that was planting multiple campuses, and we were doing the same job at two different places.
Yes.
And
you were better than me, but that's besides the point.
Well, that's just because I'm better than you. But we were doing these things, and I was leaving in COVID time, like, which is a whole extra, like, how many episodes?
There's other layers there. Yeah.
But then a couple years later, you were leaving then, right? Yeah. So, but as I was stepping out of that role, our buddy JJ goes, man, you and Coop just need to start something together.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. I'm doing this thing over here. He's trying to do this thing over here. And then he's still staying at the church. And like, we don't know. And here we are. Like, and it's not just because of this podcast, but all of the other things where it layers over. I mean,
so good.
The 2 weeks where I just came off a 2-week vacation, and I think that was the least amount that I have heard from you, or you have heard from me in 2 weeks.
It was one of those like
8 years.
Oh, he's on vacation. Yeah.
There were a couple of times where I was like, oh man, I should send a picture of this meal to Coop that I'm having right now on vacation, but I don't want to rub it in his nose that I'm on vacation and he's not. He's got to stay at home and work.
Oh, there's so many kids around and you're eating the nice meal. It's awesome.
Me and my two teenagers are like,
oh man, we'll get there eventually. But no, man, I appreciate your friendship. Appreciate your just your wisdom that you've shared with me over the years, and so it's good.
I'm glad to do it.
And I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Create Your Art podcast. And before you go, I want you to remember that you are an artist and that your voice is needed in this world more than you know, and you're loved more than you could ever imagine. So go out and create your art, and we'll catch you here on the next episode.